Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me with you to give me an opportunity, first, on behalf of the people of Louisiana, to say thank you to you and to all the people of the nation for your tremendous outpouring of empathy and the amount of time and effort that the rest of this country has spent on rebuilding one of the great areas of America. I also want to thank you for voting to come to Louisiana next year. It's going to mean a tremendous amount to us, and it's going to be a great shot in the arm and an affirmation of the work that we are trying to do to rebuild that particular region of the state. I come to you in some form or fashion with a great sense of hope and simultaneously with a great amount of anxiety, because for most of you, Katrina and Rita are a distant memory. But for those of us that are still down in that area fighting really hard, it's still a little bit raw. And from our perspective, it actually still is an open wound for the rest of the nation. And as a legislator that served for 16 years, trying to figure out the relationship between rural and urban, east and west, north and south, and having suffered through probably not only the worst natural disaster in history, but the worst man-made disaster in history, my message to you really is that what's going on in New Orleans and in Louisiana as a result of Katrina and Rita is as much about you as it is about us. And in fact, what's happening in our area of the country is a tale of two cities. It is a fact that there are some areas of Louisiana that are stood up. It is a fact that our tourism industry is as good and as strong as it ever has been, and your stay in Louisiana next year will be wonderful. And it is a fact that the best way for you to help us is to come down and to bring your expertise and your knowledge. But it's also true that the tale of the other city, the tale of the difficulties that we've had from the beginning, is really a tale of what ails America in general. One of the things that we like to remind folks around the country about is that New Orleans right now for the rest of the country is in fact probably the most concise laboratory of democracy that we will see in our lives as public servants. And as you see this nation trying to reconstruct an area, the size of which was damaged is 7 times the size of Manhattan. When you come down there and you see it, if you are like most people, your knees will buckle, and you will feel the weight and the burden of what it is that you do every day. So whether it is emergency operations that you're trying to design and coordinate, whether it's transportation, whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's crime, whether it's the issue of race, all of those issues that you deal with in very small incremental ways, we're all trying to reconstruct in a vacuum in southern Louisiana in a very short period of time. And it is in fact a group of issues that challenges us as a nation, because the reality is, if we're being honest with ourselves, that in some ways we have failed. In some ways, both on the federal, state, and local levels, we have failed to find a way to move resources from where they are to where they need to be so that American citizens can rebuild their lives in a meaningful way. Whether it's September 11th, whether it's a bridge collapse in Minneapolis, whether it's a mine that has fallen, whether or not it is a big dig in Boston, we have tremendous problems that are actually being made symbols of in the New Orleans area of the country. And so I commend it to you for your attention. As you pay attention to it, as the second anniversary of Katrina comes along, watch what's going on down there. Try to learn from the mistakes that we have made. Bring to us your expertise that you can bring to us on behalf of the constituents that you represent. The moral authority of this country has in fact been compromised by the response that we have had to Katrina and Rita. In fact, for those of you that travel internationally, you have probably heard from people who have said, as you have tried to spread democracy throughout the world, how do you speak to us with moral authority if you can't find a way to fix what ails you on the domestic front? And there are hundreds of examples of how we can do better as a nation. And so I come to you and say to you, what happened in Katrina, but it really was an American tragedy that requires an American response. It is not an issue that will go away. It is something that we have inherited in our generation, a burden that is now on our shoulders to correct. And it will be up to us at the dawning of the 21st century to send a message going forward that we have found a way to make government work again. And so I come to you and tell you thanks. I come to you and say welcome to Louisiana next year. And I come to you and say, don't forget about us, because the us is all of us, and it is about America, not just the city of New Orleans. I thank you so much for your time. We look forward to you coming, and I want to leave you with this very brief video that will introduce you to what you will see in Louisiana next year. So God bless you, and thank you very much.
There's a new day dawning in New Orleans, and when NCSL lands in the Crescent City, we'll find the leader of a new South. You'll be stepping into prime time, the 7th largest economic region in the world, and the heart of a bustling economy in a state where new opportunities take center stage. The new New Orleans is fast becoming a creative and world cultural economy capital, where acts of the Louisiana Legislature are building technology, coastal ecology, film, and creative arts enterprises. New issues and ideas, new commerce, growth and trade, new networks, new opportunities, solutions to new challenges. You'll want to be in that number when we bring a new NCSL Legislative Summit full of new opportunities to New Orleans. It is an enchanting place, one of great history and heritage, literary giants, arts and cultural luminaries. The city is bustling with new accommodations and even new cuisine from world-renowned culinary giants. It's a place where the entire family can step back in time or discover some of nature's most majestic and exotic landscapes, where America's wetland, teeming with marine and animal species and picturesque scenery, hosts one great new adventure after another. It's all new in New Orleans.